gist of what I want to do here is I want to make a tree. And admittedly, I'm not 100% sure of the best way to make that happen from a structural standpoint. So if I chop down these mushrooms. There will be mushroom blocks involved. Of that, there is no doubt. Crap, I don't have any space already. Lead blocks. I don't know why I suddenly wanted the mushroom grass. Because I want it to look natural is the thing, and if I just make it like a straight up trunk, that's not gonna look right. So I want to make it kind of twisty-turny. I'm not sure the best way to go about that. And I also want it to, like, cut through the land here. So, like, you know, have it so that the roots and all cut down beneath the mushroom grass. In fact, I'm just going to make this solid wood here using the living mahogany wand I got out in the jungle. There is also, like, a regular living wood wand, but unfortunately I didn't get that. I wish I did, because I like those as well. Well, I probably would still end up using the living mahogany. I could have used it for some, like, accents and stuff. But such is how it is. This is actually looking okay so far. I have to make sure I hammer this a bit. Get it a little bit better. There we go. There. That looks okay so far. And I think unlike the other biome departments I've made, I'm probably going to just completely demolish this once I have their new home set. Okay, you know what? Let's summon some Terra Prismas. Just 3. I don't want too many because I don't want them to clutter my field of vision. That's as high as that needs to go for now. Got a nice base for its structure. Now, what I'm going to be doing here is figuring out where the heck all my glowing mushrooms went, because I did pick some up. And I'm blind today. I did pick them up, right? Yes. Which means there's mushrooms in my inventory right now, and I am looking in my inventory every which way, and I can't find them. Unless... Aha! That was the secret! Basically what I want to do is have there be 3 homes, like, you know, any other biome is going to have. And the mushroom's home is going to have to be here. And it's basically going to be a mushroom growing out the side of the tree. That's my idea. Well, sorry to have to do this again, but we got ourselves another lengthy time lapse because I get so caught up in building, I forget to talk. Anyway, probably could have seen this coming if you've been watching up to this point, because back on the part where I was building a boat, I mentioned how much I like to make boats and trees in these kinds of games. I don't know why. Although the difference is, I've never actually tried to make something like this in Terraria before. So, it's still kind of a new experience. And here, I don't know why, but the way that... I don't like the way the mushroom platforms slope in this game, honestly. Like, you see where it kind of has little lines? I get it. It's supposed to be, like, from the caps of the mushrooms, but it just looks... It just looks wrong to me. I don't know, I can't really explain it, but it just bugs me. But, you know, you gotta make do with what you got, I guess. But yeah, as I said, I'm building basically a little mushroom in the side of the tree because, well, I mean, come on, it's a house for the mushroom. And he has to live in the mushroom biome, which that actually becomes a bit of an issue, as you can see right there. The housing does not meet the requirements of a truffle, which I have to say is complete and utter garbage. I mean, yeah, when you go up a little bit too high, the music of the mushroom biome stops and the mushrooms fade away, but you have to go above the actual mushroom for that to happen. So that should count, but game says, nope, it don't count. So yeah, it ends up being a bit more elaborate of a mushroom. Granted, I originally intended to make it a bit more elaborate of a mushroom, but I didn't want it to be like a split mushroom. That wasn't my intention, but, well, you can see that's kind of what I end up doing. Yeah, I have to admit, one thing I kind of wish was a bit different with the mushroom blocks. I wish there was ways to, like, make two different kinds. Like, one for the caps and one for the stalks. I feel like that would actually allow for a lot more customization for creating with the mushrooms. Granted, if you build a thing straight up, like, you can kind of see on the wall for the thing building up into it there, or at least you could for a moment ago. Yeah, here I actually get an idea to kind of cover, because I was thinking it at the time, and you can make what's called a mushroom beam, but, well, it's not quite the same. It's kind of like the marble columns, where it's like, I expect it to be a thing that you can build upon to make really wide columns and things like that, but no, it's just a single tile wide thing, and you can just put them next to each other to make more single tile wide things. Granted, it still helps here a bit, I think, with the overall aesthetic. At least it will once we actually get there, but I don't know. I feel like that there's so much potential for the mushrooms as a block, and it's kind of squandered. On a completely unrelated note, in editing, I kind of noticed how much the shape of the second mushroom there makes me think of a doggone Toad house from Mario 3. And I really wish I had thought of it at the time, just so I could put 3 boxes in there and call it a day. I mean, come on, don't lie. If you notice that, you do the same thing. But unfortunately, I don't pick up on it because I'm just so hyper-focused. Not to say I'm disappointed with how this turns out, just I wish I had thought of that for that reason and that reason alone. Don't really have too much else to add about the mushroom itself, but there is one thing that I do notice that I don't think I ever really touch on. Remember a while back when I was hammering some stuff and I was commenting on how I wish there was a faster hammer? Maybe I should get the chlorophyte jackhammer. I mean, I've been using it, as you can see. I made it, but it's weird. Like, I looked it up after the fact, by which I mean, like, after I was done with everything, and it turns out it isn't really any faster than any of the hammers that I have right now. It seems like such an odd choice, considering you can't even get it until after things like the Pwn hammer. And it doesn't really serve any purpose. Apparently, the only hammer that is actually any faster is something you get from Plantera, which I never got. What is it called? I think it was called the axe. It's literally just a guitar that you use like a ham axe. Although, now that I think about it, there might be some other ones that you can craft later on that might be faster, but point is, if that's the case, you don't have access to any improvement on hammer speed for a long time, and it's such a weird choice. You'd think the jackhammer would actually be faster, but no, it's just a noisier option. And I kind of wish I had actually really noticed that before. I guess I was just kind of deluding myself into thinking, oh hey, it's gotta be faster because it sounds faster. Back to the actual construction at hand. Yeah, on the left-hand side we have the little mushroom house, and on the right-hand side you can see I'm just building into the tree itself. And this is where I actually had to really stop and think about how I was going to construct things. Like you see right here where I'm just kind of building the skeleton of the room with the leaves. Like, at first I was thinking, oh, I'll just, you know, make the room out of leaves and give it a leafy background. But it's like, no, something about that just doesn't feel right. Like, I touched on earlier that I want this to feel like it could be a somewhat natural structure of like a big, gnarled, twisting tree. And it's like, it wouldn't just do that. It wouldn't just do that and nothing else. On a bit of a side note, the walls that I'm using as the back wall of the tree, I actually never really touch on this. The back wall of the inner part of the tree itself, those are actually made out of jungle grass seeds through workbenches out in the graveyard. In fact, we're actually having a quick cut coming up right here because I ran out and I want to go and farm some more, which is there. But anyways, yeah, I spent some time trying to figure out what walls I wanted to use, and I realized that the Dryad sold some great walls for the leafy parts. As you can see, that floral wall there, you know, bought from her. But I couldn't think of anything to do for the jungle walls themselves, or the tree walls themselves. And that was when I remembered how the graveyard gives you new crafting options, and I found that. But here's what I was talking about before, about how it wouldn't look right. And then I thought of doing this thing where I twisted the branches through the leaves. And I kind of like the way that it comes out. Just thicken up the leaves, move, you know, build some branches into it, and just kind of alternate them at times. And on the top there, you kind of see where it's like they kind of close in on themselves. I try so hard to get a lot of them to do that, because some of them don't quite cooperate. In fact, I can kind of see a couple on screen right now on the right-hand side that don't. But overall, I think it creates a neat aesthetic. About the only real problem is it still feels a little too manufactured, which, I mean, it is, so you're not going to get around that completely, but, well, I actually experiment with it a little bit more off-screen in some ways. I go over it at a later point, so I'll just save that for then. But now we're getting to the top of the tree, and this is where I had a weird idea. Also, first of all, yeah, remember I was talking about the mushroom beams? That's what they do, and if you just stack them next to each other, all it does is just line them up. So it really doesn't create the effect I was hoping for. But, yeah, back to the tree. This was the idea that I came up with when I was just trying to think of who else could I make live in the mushroom zone. Like, obviously the mushroom has to live there, and the Dryad living there makes sense because, you know, she likes the mushroom likes her, and she likes nature, so it works. Plus, I had plenty of other people that I wanted to put in the jungle. And that was when I had the idea of putting the party girl up here, by basically making a psychedelic party hut atop the psychedelic mushrooms. It's not exactly the most fitting thing from an aesthetic standpoint, but I don't know. I think that it's fitting from a thematic standpoint. I mean, come on. I mean, she is the party girl. No one ever said what kind of party. Definitely not the kind of party I want to go to. But, I don't know. I thought it was a neat idea. And I do like the way that the room comes out. Okay, quick cut coming up right here. And while I had the idea for building the party house up there, the one thing I was kind of stumped on was, what do I want to do to decorate this thing? So, that cut there was basically me kind of looking around the crafting options through the guide, and I came up with the idea of using the Martian stuff, because I didn't have a plan for that, and I really like the Martian set. And just look at that in the rainbow room. The base colors of it actually shift a bit with the colors of the rainbow bricks, as do the disco balls, which you buy from the merchant. And then you just have the bright blue lines that just sets them apart from the rest of it. It actually works way better than I could have ever hoped. Unfortunately, I kind of ruined it a little bit there with the Martian lanterns, because I do need some light sources in there, but it still looks pretty cool. I don't know, I think in hindsight, I should have kept the Martian lanterns out of it. Because I didn't really pick up on, at the time, the fact that the dark colors from the Martian conduit stuff actually flashed with the rainbow colors. Like, it actually was lit by the rainbows. Speaking of the rainbows, one thing I don't like about the rainbow bricks is, kind of like the mushroom blocks, they take a couple of different forms, but they're shared by one block. Like, they have the really big blocky piece, and then they have more layered bricky look. And I really, really wish that you could choose which ones you wanted. If I could, I would use the big blocky ones for the actual building material, and the bricky ones for the back wall. A minor gripe, I know, but a gripe nonetheless. Well, at any rate, the furnishing stage of things is almost done here. About the only other thing left is getting all of the party equipment out. Like, I never really messed with this stuff too much, even when I made the previous party room. But you know, you need to have the stuff there. So, you know, got the fireworks box, got the sparklers, party center, lava lamps, plasma globes, and I try out this blue rocket. It just lets off a single explosion. They're kinda neat, but I don't know. I like the other stuff, though. The stuff that you can just kind of plop down and use as much as you want. So yeah, I don't really do any more furnishing stuff. The rest of this is just shaping the tree, because obviously, you know, it's being built into the tree. So there's still a tree around it. And I gotta admit, for as much fun as I had making this crazy thing, it was a bit of a royal pain at times, for two reasons. Number one is for reasons like what you can see down there in the very bottom. Like, I make a lot of holes that are hard to fill. Even with the gizmo pack, it gets to be a bit of a pain. Number two is if I make a mistake, I can only reclaim my mahogany blocks if I was using the branches, if I was using the actual mahogany wand. If I screw up and I end up having to move a leaf out of the way, that's a piece of wood gone forever. And it's not that big a deal, but it happens enough that it's worth at least a couple trees worth of fail space. And it drives me nuts. There is actually another issue that comes up, but again, it kind of goes into what I end up doing with the tree later. But you can kind of see that, you know, as I plant more and more leaves on it, it gets darker and darker and darker in the spots that are densely packed, to the point where you can't even really see anything anymore. And that's just not good. You know, like, what's the point then of building the whole thing? That, and, you know, I can't have the leaves directly lined up with the rainbow bricks, because then it undoes all the sloping. At this point, I'm basically just like, I'll just plant the leaves and then fix it later. And I think that was the correct choice to make, all things considered. Either way, there really isn't too much more to this, at least for right now. There's going to be one more cut as I go to gather some more mahogany, because I really want to finish this thing, but as you can see, there's a lot to be done. Yeah, like, I forget how long I spent on mahogany, but I cut out a lot for that last one. And I only ended up with about 500 units of the stuff, and yeah, with all the mistakes I end up making, it ain't enough. And that's not even to mention all the fixes I end up having to do later. Still, I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it to make something that looks kind of neat. I suppose that before we cut back to live, only other thing I can really add to this is that, kind of like with the ship, this is another thing that a lot of people made some really cool options of. Like, I would recommend, just, if you have something that you think would look kind of neat in Terraria, or, you know, something like I built that, it's like, yeah, I wonder what other ideas people would have for that kind of thing. Just, seriously, look it up. There are some really interesting interpretations of this. I think one of my favorites is one I found for, like, a tree made out of crystal blocks. It's not exactly the same thing, obviously, but it's cool enough that I figured it was worth mentioning. Anyways, that's it for the time-lapse. Back to life. Alright, I think that's gonna have to do it for now on the big tree, because I'm gonna need to get way more rich mahogany, and I gotta wait for some of that to grow, so I'll just do that for now. What I'm probably gonna end up doing at this point is, in between parts for this monster, I'm gonna keep hunting down some grass seeds to wall up the tree, and mahogany to finish building, you know, the crown of the tree. And there's one other thing I'm gonna want to attach to this, probably near where the dryad is, and obviously furnish it a bit. But that's gonna do it for the tree for now. Okay. So let's go ahead and put all of this stuff away. Just add those in there for now, because I'm going to use those for construction out here. And, yeah, let's get my weapons and such back. Now, I've got a few different things that I could benefit from doing. I'm trying to think of what it is I want to do right now. Well, I do know one thing. What time is it? It's Okay, I'm gonna have to wait until the next evening, so... Let me go ahead and start getting ready, because I think it's about time I take on the Frost Moon with my new Terra Prismas.